Hello, my name is Michael Conneely, and this video is all about working to get the best start for your new journey with the transit of the nodes of the moon changing into the signs of Virgo and Pisces. It's actually part one of a 7-part series for us to go really deeply into how to work with this new energy. And the series title is Nodes of the Moon in Virgo Pisces. How to work with them for your health and spirituality from October 23 to May 2025. So, the nodes of the moon change sign from the 30th of October 2023. What will this mean for you? Rahu, the north node, moves from the sign of Aries to Pisces. Ketu, the south node, moves from the sign of Libra to Virgo. Now note that Rahu will be transiting in his new sign of Pisces until the 17th of May 2025, when Rahu will enter Aquarius. And note that Ketu will be transiting in the new sign of Virgo until the 17th of May 2025, when Ketu then enters the sign of Leo. And note, very importantly also, that this nodal sign change has a massive start energy. That is because the nodes of the moon change of sign is just 2 days after the massive start triggering energy of the full moon lunar eclipse of the 28th of October. So do see my blog about that and my 2-part video about that. I've already published them, and the links are in the blog post associated with this video. So please do note that this eclipse and the way you handled this eclipse and will ongoingly handle it set the scene for the upcoming approximately 18 months of the nodes changing sign, the new transit into the Virgo Pisces axis. This eclipse sets the scene for your new, super important to understand, super important to do journey, which you fail to engage with at your own great loss. So at this stage of the beginning of the nodes change sign, and in the first month or two of it, getting some deep vision insights will be so good for setting you up on your new journey into what will include both the known mapped pathway forward as stated by Vedic and Western astrology, but also, most crucially, you being open to the unknown and the needed intuitive and unconscious work to contact, empower yourself and heal yourself because of the content of that unknown that the eclipses will unveil and reveal. So making some intentions at the start time of this nodes changing sign journey is so important. So let's begin by looking at the detail of the start energy of the vastly powerful nodes of the moon transit at this time of their change of sign. So let's focus first of all on Rahu North Node moving from the sign of Aries into the sign of Pisces. Now Rahu has been transiting Aries before the eclipse, and possibly a key call of the Rahu in Aries transit is to become more the warrior, to face our fears, and of course to particularly do that in the life area of the house in your Vedic birth chart that is the sign of Aries. So what progress do you think you made to become more the warrior and more face your fears? Importantly, Rahu was exactly conjunct the asteroid Eris, the energy of strife, at the exact moment of Rahu going deep through the Gandanta from Aries into Pisces. So this is a cutting and potentially confusing start to the whole process. We can't mess around with such a cutting demand, and of course the divine nature of it won't be fully apparent to us for maybe up to 18 months. Rahu, as I mentioned, was additionally in the Gandanta zone. This is so important to note. So this Gandanta zone was where Pisces meets Aries. Now the three Gandanta zones are areas of immateriality and unsupportedness by the material world, energies of turbulence, but potentially spiritual openings. It's so important to know about the Gandanta zones and their vaster than vast meaning. They are the transition zone from water sign to fire sign. So that's Pisces to Aries, Cancer to Leo, and Scorpio to Sagittarius. Now, to understand the route of the Rahu transit through Pisces, we therefore need to look deeper into what Gandanta means. If you have a planet there, that planet is made completely unworldly. And that planet poses and will pose very big challenges and demands for great spiritual growth throughout your lifetime. Now, only Vedic astrology knows of these key to understand Gandanta zones. Western astrology has no idea of them. I have Moon in the Pisces Gandanta zone at the very end of Pisces at 29 degrees 56 Pisces. And it was discovering what Vedic astrology said about the nature and meaning of Moon in the Gandanta, of which Western astrology knew nothing, that told me 28 years ago I must add the vastness of Vedic astrology to my equally needed Western astrology. So, ever since then, all my readings and all my courses encompass both Western and Vedic astrology, because I can give you numerous examples that you absolutely need both Vedic and Western for the full and accurate statement of your destiny and your personality and your predicted future. And so I found that Moon in the Gandanta, which I have, sets a karmic fate and destiny that Western astrology knew nothing of, and that is that Mother will not be there for you. Think about it. What a destiny that creates. It's so important to hear it and to go deeper and deeper into understanding its ramifications in all areas of one's consciousness and life. That's one's destiny. So in my case, my 18-year-old mother was homeless and single, and the priest told her she must put me in one of the infamous Bon Secours convent orphanages, or she would burn in hell forever. And note that the exact date I was put in the convent orphanage, aged 4 weeks, that date, that very day, I went into Ketu Dasha, Ketu predictive period. And of course, Ketu is such a terrible energy for a little one to deal with. Note also, of course, that the Vedic predictive periods, the dashas, are totally wonderful and also completely unknown to Western astrology. Although, as I said, the truth is Western astrology has many totally wonderful features completely unbeknown to Vedic astrology, which is why you must encompass both of them, as I do in all my readings and all my courses. But going back to that particular destiny that Vedic astrology so clearly and accurately stated, well, I'd like to mention that by coincidence, if there is such a thing, we saw a current TV series about the treatment of mothers and orphans by the Catholic Church in Ireland. It's called The Woman in the Wall, and I've put the link for the official BBC UK trailer in the associated blog. You might or might not be surprised that this film is not so easy to access here in Ireland. Now I'd like to mention a second example to do with Gandanta zones, which is so important to know about. If you have Venus in one of these 3 Gandanta zones in your birth chart, the most obvious meaning is that you could have no idea about the nature and behaviour and love attitudes of your loved one. You will have a lifetime of learning ahead of you about what sex fully means for you and much more. So note that this eclipse calls you to define your new path, arising out of connection with the vastness, the Gandanta, and to stride along your new path with your Rahu in Aries learned strength and warrior attitudes, and with your new insights. In other words, the start of this node's change sign involves us learning to walk with awareness and spiritual power, Rahu conjunct Eris, into Rahu's new sign of Pisces. So please do make the effort to do that. For example, by doing a vision journey or drawing a tarot card or a rune. Maybe in the run-up to the eclipse, on the day of the eclipse, at the time when the nodes enter their new signs, or soon after that, within a month or 2 of the change. There's such insights that one can gain by this approach, one insight building on top of another on top of another. And there are wonderful methods available that I can teach you as an add-on to your astrology reading or your astrology course. And just to name one of them, these can include my Shamanic Healer course, and I give the link to that in the associated blog. So note that the sign of Pisces, which Rahu will be occupying for 18 months, from the 30th of October 23, is at its heart all about vision, sensitivity and intuition and connection to the divine. That's when interpreted positively. But obviously there are terrible negative potentials to Pisces as well. But those are the optimum areas where Rahu will be driving on you and calling you now as you work with what you will experience from the Rahu transit through Aries. Do not lose the progress you made from Rahu's transit through Aries. Sorry, I should have said that Rahu will be calling you from his transit through Pisces. But do not lose the progress you made from Rahu's transit through Aries. Add to it. Keep strong and Arian as you swim into the waters of Pisces' very different, mystical, sensitive and spiritual watery realm. Be advised that it's such a shift in energy that you'll be called to deal with, to embrace the call of Pisces in your destiny on top of such Aries growth as may have occurred. And actually, in my case, I would say that in the case of the transit, which is just ending, of Ketu through Libra and Rahu through Aries, work with Ketu absolutely took up maybe the first 80% of the period, issues of past life and ancestry. And the Aries side of it has sort of almost just come in. And of course still needs a bit of work doing on it, as they'd say here in Ireland. So Rahu in Pisces is mystical and spiritual. Rahu in Pisces is very empathetic and sensitive and compassionate. It can become more selfless. Rahu in Pisces supports music and writing and art. Rahu in Pisces is very good for magical work. Rahu's role will be to bring about karmic lessons and insights into your key karmas governing this lifetime for you at the time of this transit. Each of us will definitely have to let go of some of our preconceived ideas. Each of us will need to be open to new spiritual and magical experiences and new ways of perceiving the world and our individual life in the context of our past lives and the definition of the karmas we came in with for this life. Get a reading from me all about that. But other dimensions of Rahu transiting in Pisces can, for example, bring involvement with foreign parts or institutions, can bring financial loss, can involve sacrifice, can involve hidden talents emerging and flowering that you almost didn't know were there. And it can be very emotional. If you have to practice sacrifice in some area of your life to allow scope for the positive benefits of Rahu's transit through Pisces, then the expectation is that this will raise your spiritual level. And at the time of this Rahu transit through Pisces, please do also be aware of Rahu's characteristics of driven totalitarianism, cunning, escapism, recklessness, dictatorship, corrupt, poisonous and rebellious persons, confusion and illusion, even drink and drugs. But ideally, of course, addressing those if they are an issue with yourself. And please do hear this bit. Do watch out for very large, very complicated energy fluctuations through the period centering on the 12th of April next year, 2024, when Neptune, Mercury, Venus and Sun are also in Pisces with Rahu. And a couple of weeks later, on the 23rd of April 2024, Mars joins them as well. Watch out for that bit. Okay, now my focus turns to Ketu, the south node, moving into Virgo. Let's now look at the transit of Ketu. So Ketu has been bringing his cutting energies through Libra, the sign of relationship, before this 28th of October eclipse and the 30th of October sign change. And Ketu's cutting energies have as their ideal purpose, if only we can understand, in the middle of the often cutting, harrowing experiences, spiritual perception raising, loving purpose raising. Well, that was the case in the Libra area of relationship. Indeed, it was because of this focus of the now ending Ketu transit through Libra, the sign of relationship. Well, that motivated me to set up my new international dating site for those on a spiritual journey who are seeking love. And the website, supported by a panel of astrologers and healers, it's called Love Star Dating, and the link's in the associated blog. But of course, from the 30th of October, there's a new energy current superimposed on top of that one. So superimposed on the Ketu through Libra, now starts Ketu through Virgo energy. So now Ketu will be bringing his spiritual